Welcome to Instant Replay for MLS Match Day 29. I'm your host, Andrew Wiebe, and as always, we're taking a closer look at the most controversial refereeing decisions in Major League Soccer. And we start with the goal that stood for a second before it was taken off for offside. Thomas Müller made his debut in Vancouver, and it was nearly a spectacular one. Watch as the ball falls to Müller's foot, he hits it first time, and sheesh, what a goal. Only the celebrations were short-lived. Why? Because the flag went up on this play. Vancouver fans were flooding my mentions with screenshots saying, now hold on, Brian White looks onside on this. Because as you watch, you can see the potential offside offense occurs on the initial ball over the top. Now, I would love to wave my magic wand and hold Brian White's run by a nanosecond here to preserve what would have been a marquee moment out of the gate for Thomas Müller, but for me, White's shoulder is just barely leaning in an offside position, and it's a call by the assistant referee that I really can't argue that much with. Remember, the AR has the best and only view, really, straight down the line, and they are trained to only raise the flag if they are sure it's offside. To me, it looks offside. However, I will say, if it was not called offside on the field, I don't believe it would be sent for video review because the video evidence, key phrase there, not the first person evidence from the AR, isn't 100% or even I'd say 95% conclusive. Why do I say that? It's the position of Pedro Ortiz's right foot. It is possible, if not probable in my opinion, that White could have been even. And in that case, I would like to see the call on the field stand. Quickly, let's rewind it back in this game to the 5th minute. It's a penalty kick for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Comes from this foul from Griffin Dorsey on Jaden Nelson, and yeah, I've got a stone cold penalty here, folks. Dorsey mistimes the challenge. He goes through the lower leg of Nelson at speed. That's always gonna take him down, and for me, that's a foul. Portland, Cincinnati, Evander's return. If you have not watched the highlights of that, well, you should absolutely do so. We'll stick with the refereeing calls. 66th minute. Steven Jimenez coming in hard on Da Costa of the Timbers. Penalty is the call by Rubiel Vasquez. Matt Miazga and Cincinnati are like, hold on, wait, no way! But yes, absolutely way in my opinion. For me, Da Costa gets there first. He actually is the one that flicks the ball up and away, and this is a careless tackle by Jimenez that gets the Portland attacker's foot first with the kick out, and then takes out his legs with the sliding undercut. For me, this is cut and dry. Foul and penalty. Well done to Vasquez. One more from this match, 79th minute, Portland want a handball. They're saying, why aren't we going to the spot to equalize? But Rubiel Vasquez says no, this is a natural position by Steven Jimenez once again. And I agree with Vasquez, and here's why. Yes, the ball does hit Jimenez's arm, but it hits his side first, and I would argue that his arm is in a natural position here. It's hanging down, it's not out and away from his body. He's basically using it to sort of stabilize himself as he plants and leans in to defend without extending it. Therefore, I have no issue, no handball for me, play on, no review. Well done to the crew in this match. Oh boy, it got heated just 3 minutes into Charlotte RSL. Let's try to break this whole sequence down. But first, just watch. Try to formulate some thoughts of your own and then we'll dig in together.
Gozo, into the box it goes for Cruz, and that's blocked off Ream. They're appealing for a handball. It's cleared away by Charlotte. Toklabadi on the chase. That's Justin Vlad who's there to head it away. Still keep an eye out on whether there was anything from that handball. As in went Zaha.
All right, got your conclusions set? Here we go. Let's start with the handball, which Edwin Jurasevich, the VAR, sends for review as a clear and obvious error. Tori Pinto, the referee, sticks with her call on the field. No handball, natural position, she says. I completely understand her perspective, and I'm a little bit torn on this one. Not because of the arm position, but because of the movement pattern of the arm on the play. It is not a hanging arm that gets hit, sort of like the Jimenez play. It's an arm that extends out and then moves down as the cross is struck. You can argue this two ways. One, that it's a natural stabilizing action as Ream jumps in to block with his feet. I could also argue on the flip side that this action of extending and moving the arm down is part of making his silhouette bigger in the act of blocking. Because the arm is extended then down toward the path of the ball, I think you would have an argument to say it could be a penalty. Certainly Jurasevich does. But for me, the first is the more plausible explanation in this situation. And because the arm position when the ball hits it is not extended out from the body, in a significant manner, I would prefer no PK. Therefore, I'm with Tori Pinso in the way she ended up calling it. However, I completely get Jurasevic's POV, and this is a difficult gray area call where I can see multiple interpretations making sense. Ross Smith is spot on here, calling it back to the Kyle Duncan play on Diego Luna from last week. Try to revive that in your collective memories. If you can't, here's a quick clip.
Shepshevsky Hall. Oh, that's a Luna tackle. This is spilled on over from what he thought he got fouled before.
Yellow.
Luna gets a yellow and a red.
Coincidentally, this one was against RSL as well, and I see Ross Smith's point. Where Zaha is really flirting hard with violent conduct is not in the grab itself, in my opinion. It's the throwdown at the end of the play, clearly an off-ball action. So you have to ask yourself a couple questions. Is that endangering the safety of Anelli? Is it excessive force? I definitely think you could argue that, but I felt the Duncan play had more sustained and dangerous net contact to justify a red, in addition to him headlocking and holding down for the complete slam. Here, I don't think it would quite rise to the level of a red card. I would file it more as a reckless action. In other words, quote, an act with disregard to the danger or consequences for an opponent. I'm just fine with the yellow card. We finished with Austin Dallas, a potential handball in the 25th minute that was not called on the field by Armando Villarreal, the referee, and not sent to review. This is another really tough handball decision. I'm just going to tell you what I would prefer because I don't think a review would be required on this one because I don't think it would be a clear and obvious error either way. I think this is a handball because of the way Biro has time to react and attempt to play the ball, and then how his eyes track the path of the ball and the way he leaves that left arm back trailing away from his body. No, it's not extended out, but it is extended behind. And to me, he's making himself unnaturally bigger to try to stop the path of the ball. Now, that wouldn't be a clear and obvious error in any way, so I understand why Michael Radchuk did not send it down. But I'd be curious to know what you think about both handballs this week. Let me know. And remember, if you see something, say something. Get at me with the game, the minute, and a little description, and hey, send your opinion as well. Big thanks to my editor, Aldo Medina, and my producer, Rich Hernandez. I'm Andrew Wiebe. We'll see you next time.